Daf Yomi Tractate, Sanhedrin, page 52a, top of the page, with the words Hi Avia Hi Mechalelos Maidash Be. What does he derive from this verse? She profanes her father, Leviticus 21:9. If he does not employ the term her father for a verbal analogy concerning a young betrothed woman who committed adultery, as Rabbi Akiva does, Miboyale Lechidetanya. Haya Rabbi Meir Omer Ma Talmud Lemer Esol Yehi Mechaleles She'im Hayu Nohagin Bo Kodesh Nohagin Bo Chol Kavod Nohagin Bo Bizayon Amrin Arur Shezo Yalad Arur Shezo Gidel Arur Sheyatza Zo Mechalatzav. The Gemara answers, he requires it for that which is taught in Brisa. Rabbi Meir would say, why must the verse state she profanes her father? To teach that if initially they would treat her father in a sacred manner, now they treat him in a profane manner. If previously they would treat him with honor, now they treat him with degradation. They say, cursed is the one who bore this daughter. Cursed is the one who raised this daughter. Cursed is the one from whose loins his daughter emerged. Amravashi Keman Karidan Rashia Bar Rashia Afil Vafilu Rashia Bar Tzadika Keman Kehaitana. Ravashi says, in accordance with whose opinion do we call even a wicked person who is the son of a righteous person a wicked person, the son of a wicked person, in accordance with whose opinion is this? It is in accordance with the opinion of this Tana, Rabbi Meir, who says that a sinful daughter profanes her father, and he too is treated with disgrace. Zo mitzvahs haniskolin. My Tani zo mitzvahs haniskolin. The Mishnah teaches this describes the mitzvah of those who are stoned, meaning the process of execution by stoning. The Gemara asks, what was taught in the Mishnah with regard to which it teaches now? This describes the mitzvah of those who are stoned. Mishum netana nigmar hadin motziin oso lisaklo beis haskila aya gavoa shtem komos v'aydi dekabai the mishneh mitzvah shenasrafin tananami zo mitzvah saniskolin. The Gemara answers, the Mishnah states this because it teaches in the previous chapter 42b, when the trial has ended in a guilty verdict and the condemned man has been sentenced to stoning, he is taken out to be stoned, and it continues 45a, the place of stoning from which the condemned party is pushed to his death is a platform twice the height of an ordinary person. And since the Mishnah wants to teach in the next Mishnah the mitzvah of those who are burned, and it will then proceed to describe the process involved in carrying out the other forms of execution. It also teaches that in this Mishnah, this describes the mitzvah of those who are stoned in order to summarize what was taught up to this point. You can get that as a pretty long daf. Wow. Let's get to at least half right now. Wow. Okay. New Mishnah. Mitzvahs hanisrofin. Hoyu b'shakin oso b'zevel o ar kavosav v'nosnin sudar kashe letoch haraka v'korech al tzavaro זה מושך אצלו וזה מושך אצלו עד שפותח את פיו ומדליק Es apesilo. V'zorko l'toich piv. V'yarezek me'av v'chomeres. Es b'nei me'av. It sounds horrible. The mitzvah of those who are burned. This is nitty gritty. If you're sensitive, don't listen to this. The process of execution by burning is carried out in the following manner. The executioners submerge the condemned one in dung up to his knees so that he cannot move. And they place a rough scarf with a soft one so his throat will not be wounded, and wrap up those scarves around his neck. This one, meaning that one of the witnesses pulls the scarf toward himself, and that one, the other witness, pulls it toward himself until the condemned one is forced to open his mouth as he is choking. And another person then lights the wick and throws it into his mouth. And it goes down into his intestines and burns his intestines, and he dies. I don't get how that happens. They would have to put like massive amounts of gasoline in his stomach to burn that. How it would go out? I don't even get that. Yehuda Omer, Afu Imes B'Yadam, Lo Hayu Mekaymin Bo, Mitzvat Tzreifa Ela Poseach Es Piv, Mitzvat Shelo B'Tovato, Umadlik Et Apetila V'Zoko Toch Piv, Yoredes Toch Miav V'Chomeres Es Ben Miav. I don't understand this. Yehuda says, but if this one who's condemned to death by burning accidentally died at their hands by strangulation, they have not fulfilled the mitzvah of execution by burning for this person. Rather, the process is carried out in the following manner. One opens the mouth of the condemned man with prongs against his will, and one lights the wick and throws it in his mouth and goes down into his intestines and burns his intestines and he dies. That doesn't make sense. Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Sadok. Maasiv vas koyin achal shezin so. Ikifuach v'riz moiris uschafuha. Amru loi. Mipnei shelo haya bezdin shelo asa shah baki. Rabbi Elazar ben Sadok said an incident occurred with regard to a certain priest's daughter who committed adultery, and they wrapped her in bundles of branches and burned her, contrary to the process described in the Mishnah. The sages said to him, that court did not act properly. They did so because the court at that time was not proficient in halakha. Okay, the Talmud says, "My pesila, Amr of Masta, pesila shel avar." The Gemara says, what kind of wick is the Mishnah referring to? Rav Masta says, a wick of lead, a long piece of lead in the shape of a wick, which is melted and poured down. Oh, that's more like it. But they call it a wick, but it's not a wick. It's actually a long, thin piece of lead, which is melted and poured down into his intestines. Mina lan asya sreifa mi'adas koirach. Malahan sreifas neshama v'guf kayam. Afkan sreifas neshama v'guf kayam. From where do we derive that burning means this kind of death? It is derived from a verbal analogy between the burning that is described in the context of capital punishment see Leviticus 21:9, and the burning described with regard to the assembly of Korach when they were burned by God. See Numbers 17:4. Just as there with regard to the assembly of Korach, they were killed by the burning of the soul within the body, but the body itself remained intact. So to here, the condemned one is executed by the burning of the soul, but the body remains intact. He is not executed by means of the burning of the body with wood. In that case, the body would be consumed. We'll stop here for now.